Okay, well, good morning. I will hand out your graded homework, so don't go away after the class. Please wait a few minutes until I hand out your graded homework. So today, so we spent some time last class. Let me see where we were. I think we were talking about the iterated convolution, and we spent quite some time talking about how to understand iterated convolution. So I did assign you a bit challenging problem, and so we'll spend some time. I want to, rather than, I know that given enough time you will figure it out, but I do want to spend little time helping you, and then you spend more time on your own. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so let's try to do the homework today partly, not fully, but we'll spend some time partly. So let's start with. So we are given 2 by 2 convolution algorithms. We are given fast, so-called fast 2 by 2 convolution algorithms that says the 3-point result S0, S1, S2 is equal to, we start with the 2-point sequence X, and then we compute x0, x0 minus x1, x1, x0 multiplied by h0, x1 multiplied by h0, x0 minus x1 multiplied by h0 minus h1, and then x1 h1, and then we group these. So S0 is just h0 x0, S2 is simply h1 x1, and this one here is h0 x0 plus h1 x1 minus h0 minus h1 times x0 minus x1. So that's the 2 by 2 convolution. So we can write this as S is equal to I think I used Q2 diagonal of H P to H. Okay. H vector times P2 times X vector. Okay, so that's so I can also describe this by a signal flow graph. So if we start with x0 and x1, so this is h0 times that and h1 times that, and then we subtract x0 minus x1, multiply h0 minus h1, and here subtract this quantity. So that is so that's the result, S0, S1, S2. Okay, so that's we are given that. So that's the 2 by 2 convolution algorithm, and we are also given a 3 by 2 convolution algorithm. Okay, so so the 3 by 2 convolution algorithm that we are given is S0, S1, S2, S3 is equal to 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 times H0 plus H1 plus H2 by 2 H0 minus H1 plus H2 by 2 and finally H2. So that's the diagonal matrix, and then 1 0 1 1 1 minus 1 0 1 and finally x0 x1. Okay, so by the way, I've corrected a mistake. So this one was 0. It was a typing mistake. I have corrected that in this morning, just right before the class. So this has now been corrected on the Canvas website. So if you already started and it confused you, well, it was a typing mistake. Okay. So once again, if I draw this as a signal flow graph, so we have x0 and x1, and then we compute x0 plus x1, and finally x0 minus x1, x0 minus x1. Okay, so this is multiplied by h0, this is multiplied by h0 plus h1 plus h2 by 2, h0 minus h1 plus h2 by 2, and finally h2. Okay. And then the first one is as it is, last one is as it is. So this is S0 and this is S3. And for S1, take the second minus third minus fourth. Second minus third minus fourth. That's S1. And for this, minus first plus second plus third. So minus first plus second. So second, this is already changed. I can't take it from there, but I can take the second one here and then connect to that dot, and then so plus plus. Okay, so okay, so that's the signal flow graph. And if you think about, okay, each one of these, how many multiply add are necessary for each one of these? So definitely these are 3 multiplications. How many add operations? Any volunteers? How many add operations? 1. This is 2. We are adding 3 things here. So 3 add operations. So that's the complexity of this 2 by 2. What about here? So we have 4 multiply. How many add operations? 1, 2, and this one is 2, and this one is 2. So 6 add operations. Any question about that? 4 multiply 6 add. Okay, so I can also write this. So I can write this one here as okay. So let's one part of your question is to find the one line equations using Kronecker product. So I can write this as so if I define some A matrix as, so I am just going to find what A should be. So AH can be put into diagonal form. So 1, let's say AH, okay. So 1 0 0, 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 0 0 1, and H0 H1 H2. Okay, so I can say that this equation here can be written as S is equal to Q. You should give them Q1, Q2. I'm not doing that right now. Times the diagonal element of A times H. and P times X. Okay, so that's kind of one line equation of that matrix. And so if you call this Q1, Q2, how we combine these, so okay, I call this Q2, I could call this Q3, I mean, or Q1. So let me call this Q1, A1, P1. Okay, so if we do that, your final equations, and I did work out a simpler form. Here, lecture 4, last lecture. So let me see what I. Okay, so you will get equations like these. So this one here will be some P2 Kronecker product A1, and this one is going to be fine P1 Kronecker P2, Q1 Kronecker Q2. So that's kind of your homework to figure that out. I'm just trying to solve it about 60% for you, and then I mean, leaving you to do it all alone is pretty intense. So I'm helping you with 60% and do the remaining 40%. Okay, all right. So far, so good. Okay, so now let's talk about iterated convolution. So we have understood the two algorithms given to us. Some of you, those who came a little late, I just mentioned that I corrected a small mistake in the problem here, the 0, 0. If you saw 0, 0 in one of the 3 by 2 convolution here, that was 0, 1. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we do iterated convolution. Okay, so now for the iterated convolution, we will try to understand both approaches. So let's talk about, we will take this as iterated convolution approach 1. Okay, so approach 1. And in this case, the outer convolution will correspond to 3 by 2. Inner convolution will be 2 by 2. So so think about this. When I say outer is 3 by 2, really go back to here. So I mean, this is the outer. This is kind of the outer structure. Okay, and then when I say the inner is 2 by 2, so think about this H0 X0 multiplication here. So think about H0 is a degree 1 polynomial that contains 2 terms. X0 is a degree 1 polynomial that contains 2 terms. However, H0 and X0 are degree 1 polynomials in P. However, the outer one will be polynomial in Q, and we will see this in a minute. Okay, so so we want to compute SP is equal to H0 plus H1P. That's kind of H00 plus P squared times H2 plus H3P plus P to power 4th times H4 plus H5P multiplied by X0 plus X1P plus P squared times X2 plus X3P. Okay, and now think about these, the outer ones as polynomial in Q. So think about, so now we have a outer polynomial. So think about this is our H00, H01, H02, X00, X01. So now it exactly looks like a 3 by 2 convolution at the outer level. So I can now write this as H00 X plus Q times H01 plus Q squared times H02 times X00 plus Q times X01. and that is exactly what we were computing in, I didn't write that down, but that's exactly what we were computing here in the 3 by 2 convolution. So, if you think about the outer convolution, which is exactly this, is a 3 by 2 convolution with respect to q, where each one of these individual terms, for example, h0 0 x0 0 is going to be h0 plus h1p times x0 plus x1p. That's a 2 by 2 convolution in polynomial in P. So, the inner 2 by 2 convolution is with respect to the polynomials in P. So, okay, let us get back to this diagram here. So, what we are trying to say is, so this x0 is really 2 terms, x0 is 2 terms. Okay. So, x0 is x0. Think about this as a polynomial, think about this as x0 plus x1p. Okay. There is a lot of detailed diagram that you have to draw. I am not doing that for you, but x0 plus x1p, think about this as a polynomial. Okay. This is a polynomial of degree 1 that contains 2 terms. h0 is a polynomial of degree 1 that contains 2 terms. h0 times x0, well, h0 times x0 is a polynomial degree 2 that will contain 3 terms. Okay. And the same thing here. So, this is 2 terms, and each one of these are 3 terms, and then after all of these we get the output here has 12 terms. So, at this point there are 12 terms. Now, how many well, I mean, I guess the red marks. So, these are for 6 by 4 convolution. How many results do we expect? 6 plus 4 minus 1, 9 point. So, the last A matrix will have these overlapping 3 terms, and that will reduce these to 9 terms. Okay. So, if I ask you what is, I am not going to do a lot more, because from this you can do that on your own. What is the computation complexity? And this is one of your questions, but so 5.4. So, the number of multiply for this approach. So, think about each one of these is a 2 by 2 convolution. Okay. So, we have 4 such convolutions. So, so the core part, let us put it, the core part has 4 2 by 2 convolutions, and that is equal to 4 times each 2 by 2 is 3 multiply 3 add. So, 3 multiply 3 add, and that is 12 multiply 12 add. Okay. All right. Now, what is going on here? So, these are 2 adders, but these are 2 adders of what? 2 adders of degree 1 polynomials. Okay. So, think about this is x0 plus x1p, x2 plus x3p, and I add these 2 polynomials here. So, I will get x0 plus x2 plus p times x1 plus x3. So, this is, so these 2 polynomial adds. So, the pre-multiply, so this is the pre-multiply, that is what is the pre-multiply. The reason we call that pre-multiply is because this is where the multiplication happens, this is pre-multiply, this is post-multiply. Okay. So, the pre-multiply will be 2 add operations, but 2 degree 1 add operations. Each degree 1 has 2 terms. So, that is 2 times 2, 4 adders. Okay. What about the post? Well, before I get to the post, how about here? So, we had here 2 plus 2, 4. So, the post multiply part involves 4 and adding degree 3, degree is a degree 2 or 3 terms. So, each one of these is degree 2 or 3 terms. So, we have to add 3 things. So, that is 4 times 3, 12 adds. and finally this 12 have to reduce to 9, and I won't go through that today, but that's really these. So in this example I showed these overlap terms. Think about 12 things, 3, 3, 3, 3, these two overlap, and then these two overlap. So that's where the 12 things are compressed to 9 things. So finally that last merge part, we can call it merge or whatever, is 3 adds. So if we put these together, so the total 6 by 4 convolution, iterated convolution, will require 12 multiply 12 plus 4 16 plus 12 28 plus 3 31 adds. Okay. So I will leave it to you to do the detailed convolution of these, and so you will dive deep inside each one of these. You will treat these as degree 1 polynomials. You will add them. You will well, there is quite a bit. So I haven't really solved the whole problem, but I'm solving about maybe not 60%, maybe 50%. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so let me then talk about the next part, which is what happens if I change the inner and outer. Okay, so now my outer convolution, okay, this is my outer convolution now. Okay, so think about this is the outer convolution. So outer convolution 2 by 2, inner convolution will be 3 by 2. Okay. So basically the outer will look like this, x0, x1. Okay. All right. So then, so what exactly are we saying now? We are saying that we are taking the 6 by 4, and at the outer layer, this will be, so this is still degree 1, so it has 2 terms, degree 1 polynomial. This has 2 terms. Now this h0 has, so that's h0 has 3 terms. Okay, h0 has 3 terms. So this is 3. When I multiply h0 times x0, that's 3 by 2 convolution, degree p squared times p cube. So this will be 3 plus 2, 5 minus 1, 4 terms. Okay. So now we are, so okay, at the end of this year, we are still generating 12 terms. This will be 4 terms each. So still 12 terms, and then it will be compressed to 9 terms. Okay. All right. So each one of these is going to be a 3 by 2 convolution. So at the outer level, it looks like a 2 by 2 structure, but as you dive deep inside, each one of these h0 times x0, h2 times x1, h0 minus h1 times x0 minus x1. So this is not h2, this is h1. This is h1. Okay. So that's going to be, each of these is going to be a 3 by 2 convolution. So if you think about, okay, so this is going to be a different structure than the other structure. So the multiplication complexity will stay the same, but it's going to be a different structure, because at the outer level this is 3 by 2, and this 3 by 2 is at the inner level, and 3 of these 3 by 2. So if you look at what was here, there were 4 of these 2 by 2, and instead now we have 3 of these 3 by 2. So how many multiply add here? 3 times each 3 by 2 was 4 multiply 6 add. Okay. So what about here? How many add operations here? This is 2 add operation, 1 times 2, degree 1 polynomial. So the 2 terms have to be added with 2 terms, or subtract, doesn't matter. And what about here? These are 4 terms, and this is 2 times 4. Okay. So we are doing 2 subtraction of degree 3 polynomials containing 4 terms. So I have to do, so if this is a0 plus c0 minus b0, a1 plus c1 minus b1, so that requires 2 times 4. Finally, the merging of 12 to 9 requires 3, so it will still be same. 12 multiply 2 plus 18, 28, 31. So the structure is going to be different, but the multiplication complexity is going to be exactly same as what we computed before, which was in this case 12 multiply. By the way, if you do 6 times 4, 24 multiplications. A straightforward brute force would require 24. I don't know how many add, but we have 31 adds here. So okay. So now how can I describe this SP? So SP will be slightly different here. So so this will be H0 plus H2 p squared plus H4 p to power 4 plus p times H1 plus H3 p squared plus H5 p to power 4 times x0 plus x2 p squared plus p times x1 plus x3 p squared. So think about it. So at the okay, so let me then write this down as equal to H00 plus p times H01 times x00 plus p times x01, where H00 times x00, just as one example, is going to be H0 plus H2q plus H4q squared times x0 plus x2q. Okay. So the inner 3 by 2 convolution is now with respect to q, and in this problem q is p squared, unlike the previous problem where q was p cube. Okay. So previous problem q also was p squared. Yeah. Okay. Q was p squared. So q is p squared in both. Okay. Okay. So at the inner convolution level, so these are convolutions with respect to q, whereas at the outer level, so if you look at this expression, which is the outer layer, so these are polynomials in p, so that's with respect to p. Okay. So okay, so this is probably a good point for me to stop. I think you have enough to think about. I will say that I think, I mean, okay, but what you will see here is because the x, so the difference between the diagram here x0 and the diagram here x0, this x0 is x0 plus x1 p, whereas this x0 here is x0 plus x2q. Okay, what does that mean? So that means that this is going to contain the even terms x0, x2. This is going to contain the odd terms x1, x3, as opposed to here x0, x1 and x2, x3. So there is a slight difference. Well, I can see that these are all very interesting, but I can see that they become so complex that you don't want to do these things anymore. So you will see, however, I believe, because these involve even and odd, so when you write single line equations, you will need to use permutation matrices. Okay, so you will need to use these permutation matrices to permute the inputs and permute at the end. Again, when you combine these together, there is some permutation going on, like we saw. I don't know if I have it here, but yeah, like we saw here, there is some permutation before adding the overlap terms. Okay, so at least I believe that I haven't really, I haven't solved these difficult and time-consuming problems, but that's enough to have you think about further from this point. Okay, is that helpful? Yeah.
In this, when you're merging this with the 2 by 2 as outer, how are you getting 3 merging adds in the end?
Yeah. Yes. So how? So we have 12 terms, okay, and then we need to get 9 terms. So you do the permutation and then exactly do the same thing. Just add the so just add the overlapping. Okay, okay, we can quickly go through that. Okay, let's say well, let's say that out of these, so this has, okay, let's say that out of these terms I got 3 degree 3 polynomials. Okay, so I have a0 plus a1 p a1 q. These polynomials are polynomials in q. a0 plus, okay, q means p squared. So a0 plus a1 p squared plus a2 p to power 4th plus a3 p to power 6th. So let's say that's this first 3 lines, first line, 4 terms. Second line, okay, let's say that's b0 plus let's say b0 plus b1 p squared plus b2 p to power 4th plus b3 p to power 6th, and the last line c0 plus c1 p squared plus c2 p to power 4th plus c3 p to power 6th. And then I need to merge them. How do I merge them? Well, the outer convolution is polynomial in P, so that's h00 x0, which is this quantity, plus P times h00 x01 plus h01 x00, that's this quantity. So I have to multiply this by P plus P squared times that quantity. Okay. How many overlap terms? So these are all odd terms. So these will contain terms b0p, b1pq, b2p to power 5, b3p to power 7. So how many terms to be added? a1p squared, c0p squared. So you permute them and line them up correctly, and then a2 p to power 4, c1 p to power 4. So we need to compute a1 plus c0, a2 plus c1, and a3 plus p6 plus c2 plus p6. Those are the 3 things. Is that making clear sense? Okay. So again, when you are adding, the other one is going to be different because the inner polynomial there was in P and the outer was Q. So you have to multiply and we got 4 of those things. So you have to multiply p squared, p to power 4, p to power 6. So, but that's okay. Let's leave it at that, and I think this should really help you solve the problems. Still not trivial, but it should help you. Okay. By the way, how many of you had thought through portions of what I taught? Okay, one of you. Okay, that's good. The homework is not due until a couple of days, so you still have time. Okay, so all right. So let's let's just let me just say a little bit more about these iterated convolutions. So so we already learned from last class. So if I go to 3, lesson 3, so it is so we learned from last class that a 4 by 4 convolution. So if we are convolving x0, x1, x2, x3 with h0, h1, h2, h3, that requires 9 multiply 19 adds. So let me just show you. Okay, so iterated, I mean that's the diagram, that's the final diagram. So iterated convolution. So if I want to do a 4 by 4 convolution using 2 by 2 and 2 by 2, one of them inner, one of them outer, but you can get a lot of different results if you use different fast algorithms for 2 by 2, then you will get different structures. So at the outer level, again at the outer level, so at the outer level you can think about this as the 2 by 2. At the inner level each is also 2 by 2. So if you think about this as x0 plus x1p, this is x2 plus x3p, and these are 3 2 by 2 convolutions. How many points here? So this is 2 points, 2 by 2, 3 points. So we finally get 9 points, and 9 points have to be combined to 4 plus 4 minus 1, 7 points. So merge to get 7 points, which means that we finally need 2 add operations here, 2 overlapping. Add the last of this to the first of this, last of these 3 to the first of these 3. So that's 2 add. So I'm just showing you how to quickly compute how many multiply add. So that will be 3 times 2. 2 by 2 is 3 multiply, 3 add. So 3 times 3, 9 multiply, and this is looking as like 1 add, but 1 times 2. So this is 1 times 2 adds, because we are adding polynomial containing 2 terms. So 2 plus 3 times 3, 9, 11. Okay. Okay, so these will be 2 add operations of degree 2 or 3 terms. So that's 2 times 3 adds. Okay, so we have total add will be 2 plus 3 times 3, 9, plus 2 times 3, 6, plus the final merging 2, and that will be 19 adds, which is exactly same. So just to understand 19 add, you don't need to draw this whole thing. You can just infer by looking at a higher level terms. If I want to compute 8 by 8 convolution using this 4 by 4, which means actually this is, let's say that use this 4 by 4 and an outer layer this 2 by 2, how many multiplies and adds would that take? So use a 4 by 4 convolution and a 2 by 2 convolution. So So here okay, so each of these is going to be 4 terms. Okay, so I have divided the input x containing 8 terms to 2 polynomials, each containing degree 3 polynomials are containing 4 terms. Each h is also 4 terms. So this is 4 terms here, and the 4 by 4 convolution from the previous diagram here. We are not showing all of that, but each one of these will have 4 plus 4 minus 1, 7 results. And finally, this is also going to be 2 times 7 add operations, and finally we get 21 things. So 7, 7, 7, 21 things. What's the result here? 8 plus 8 minus 1, which is 16 minus 1, 15 things. So 21 things compressed to 15 things will require 6 add operations. 6 things have to disappear, 6 overlapping terms. So the total number of multiply adds for the core block here is going to be 4 times. For each 4 by 4 is we just computed that each 4 by 4 is going to be 9 multiply 19 add. So the total multiply, number of multiply is going to be 36 multiply. And what's the total number of add? This one here that shows like looks like one add is really 4 adds. So okay, so because that's 4 things being added, that's a degree 3 polynomial. So that's 4 plus 4 times 19, 76 plus 2 times 7 plus merging of 6. So that's 80 plus 14 plus 6. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. 20 plus 80, exactly 100 adds. My goodness, I didn't expect that. Well, okay. Okay, so let me stop with that. So now I guess that should complete the iterated convolution. So I am going to start talking about the Winograd algorithm. But before really Winograd fast convolution algorithm, but before we talk about Winograd algorithm, to understand Winograd algorithm, just like to understand so-called Cook-Tomb algorithm, we have to understand what is Lagrange interpolation, because that's the foundation of the Cook-Tomb algorithm. So the foundation of Winograd algorithm is the Chinese remainder theorem. Okay, so I don't really expect many of you to have come across that, but that was known to people in China many hundred years ago. Maybe I should be saying more than 1,000 years ago. Okay. Is anybody familiar with the Chinese remainder theorem? Okay, but so I could start with Chinese remainder theorem, but really to understand Chinese remainder theorem, we need to understand something else, which is the Euclid's GCD algorithm. Okay, so in order to compute the greatest common divisor, so if I ask you what is GCD of 27 and 12, what is the greatest common divisor or factor? Well, that's really 3, because 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 4 is 12. Okay. And all of you know how to compute the GCD by factorizing these things, by factorizing and finding the common factor and then grouping together all common factors. That's the greatest common factor or divisor. Is anybody familiar with how to compute GCD using Euclid's algorithm? Okay. Okay, let me start with how the Euclid's algorithm works. So, so if you have big numbers, well, first of all, this is a great way. Finding factors is a great way to do by hand, to find the factor by hand, and then common factor is 3. But if you have 500 digit numbers and you want to find a GCD, well, I mean, you let a computer run the algorithm and find it. Now, there were no computers in Euclid's time, but he developed the algorithm that can be run on computers. Okay, so this is how the Euclid's algorithm works. So this is from appendix C of the book. So let me just take the example from the book. So we want to compute the GCD of 993 and 186. Okay, these are not trivial numbers like 27 and 12, but maybe a little bigger numbers. Okay, so here is how the algorithm works. 993. So divide 993 and find the remainders. Okay, so is equal to 5 times 186. So 180 times 5 is 900. 5 times 6 is 30. So remaining 63. And then take, okay, so we are done with first step, step 1. Next, divide 186 with remainder 63. So 186 is divided by, so 2 times 6, 2 times 3, 6, 2 times 6, 12, 126 plus 60. So we are done with step 2. And then take 63 divided by 60, and that's 1 times 63, 1 times 60 plus 3. Okay. Then take 60 and divide by 3. So 60 is equal to 20 times 3 plus 0. And once you reach a 0, that means remainder is 0. The algorithm halts, there is nothing more we can do, and this is the GCD. So the final remainder, final non-zero remainder is the GCD. Okay. Okay. So that's the Euclid's algorithm to compute the greatest common divisor. The final non-zero remainder is the GCD. Okay, so one of the properties so if we are computing GCD of two numbers R and S. So if I am computing GCD of two numbers R and S, and let's say that GCD is G, let's say. Okay. Now, one of the properties of Euclid's algorithm that says is that I can describe G, this GCD, as some integer times R plus some other integer times S. So this A and B are integers, positive or negative integers. Now, every GCD of two numbers can be described as a linear sum of the original numbers. Now, we say that R and S are relatively prime or co-prime if the GCD is 1. If the GCD is 1, which means AR, there must exist some integer A and B such that AR plus BS is equal to 1. That then says that R and S are co-prime or relatively prime, same thing, relatively prime or co-prime, same thing. Okay, so how do I really prove this GCD can be expressed as this form? So let's take this example here. So if I take this example here, I want to express 3 as a weighted sum, linearly weighted sum of these two numbers. So here is how I start. I start 3, the last remainder, non-zero remainder, is equal to 63 minus 1 times 60. Okay, start with this remainder. Then substitute 60. 60 is the previous remainder, so that is 63 minus 1 times 186 minus 2 times 63, which is equal to 1 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 3 times 63 minus 1 times 186. And next step, take the previous remainder and substitute from the previous equation. So that's 3 times 993 minus 5 times 186 minus 1 times 186, which is equal to 3 times 993 minus 15 times 186 minus 1 times 186 minus 16 times 186. So that says that here our A is going to be 3 and B is going to be minus 16. So these integers A and B, that allows me to express A times R plus B times S is the greatest common divisor G, and that's the greatest common divisor G. Okay, so so Euclid's algorithm does two things. One, it helps us find the greatest common divisor, and second, it also tells us what these integers A and B must be. If these are co-prime, you will also find what these A and B should be. Okay, so let me take another example. Let's say that we want to compute GCD of R and S, which is G, I suppose. Okay, so I can write down R, and let's say S is bigger than R. Let's just say that. So I can divide S by R. So S is first quotient Q1 times R plus remainder R1. Then take R divided by R1. So R is equal to Q2 times R1 plus remainder 2. Then take R1 divided by R2. So that's the third quotient plus third remainder. And then finally, or you continue until, so R2 is equal to Q4 R3 plus R4, and let's say that this is the last. So this is the GCD. So let's say that's the GCD. Why? Because if you take R3 is equal to sum Q5 R4 plus 0. Let's just say, I can stop here. Okay. So then how do I express R4 as a linearly weighted sum of R and S, where the weight coefficients are integers? So I can do the same thing by substituting backwards. You substitute backwards. So I start with the last one. So the R4, that's going to be R2 minus Q4 times R3. Then substitute the remainder before that. So that's R2 minus Q4 times R1 minus Q3 R2, and that becomes 1 plus Q3 Q4 times R2 minus Q4 times R1. Okay, then substitute the remainder before that, which is R2. So this is 1 plus Q3 Q4 times R minus Q2 R1, R minus Q2 R1 minus Q4 R1. Okay, so that's equal to 1 plus Q3 Q4 times R minus taken outside a bracket minus R1 taken outside a bracket Q2 times 1 plus Q3 Q4 plus Q4 times R1. Okay, finally, the last remainder, substitute, that's S minus Q1R. So if you substitute this as S minus Q1R, and that can be written as 1 plus Q3 Q4 times R minus Q2 times 1 plus Q3 Q4 plus Q4 times S minus Q1 R, which is equal to, so if you group these terms together for R, so that's going to be 1 plus Q3 Q4 plus Q1 times Q2 Q1 times Q2 times 1 plus Q3 Q4 plus Q4 times R minus Q2 times 1 plus Q3 Q4 plus Q4 times S. Okay, so that whole thing is going to be A, and this minus whole thing is going to be B, and that's how we can write that as A R plus B S. Okay, so so this is a brief introduction to what is Euclid's algorithm to find the greatest common divisor, and how does that help us in terms of Chinese remainder theorem. Okay, what exactly is Chinese remainder theorem? So so the idea here is, let's say that I have a big number 60. So let me call it M, which is 60, and I express that as product of small numbers which are relatively prime, 3 times 4 times 5. Okay, these are relatively prime. And let me call this M0, M1, M2. Okay, so anybody tell me a number which is between 1 and 60, not 60 itself, but less than 60. Any volunteers? Anybody who has a suggestion for a number less than 60?
39.
39. Okay, so Chinese remainder theorem says you have thought of that number 39. Actually, what you should be telling me is not the number, because that's what I need to find. That's a mystery. Okay, now tell me, if you divide these by the small moduli, these are called moduli, so each one of these is called a modulus. Okay, so these are, so what is remainder? Let's call this remainder C0. 39 divided by 3, what's the remainder? 0. 39 divided by 4, 4 times 9, 36, plus 3, 5 times what is 39? 5 times 7, 35, plus 4. So, okay, you thought of 39, you don't need to tell me that, just assume you didn't tell me. Just assume that you told me the remainders with respect to these small numbers. And then my goal, what Chinese remainder theorem does, it tells you that number. Given these small remainders, because these have to be, this remainder has to be less than 3, this remainder has to be less than 4, this remainder has to be less than 5, because we divided by those numbers. So the Chinese remainder theorem gets back the original number from the remainders. Okay, Did anybody hear about Chinese remainder theorem? No, okay, that's fine. So, so here is what the Chinese remainder theorem says. That number C, so this is the formula. So, the C, this is the number, is equal to C, okay, summed over all I, in this case 0 to 2, because we have M0, M1, M2, Ci, which are the remainders I know, times Ni, Mi, modulo the number 60. That's the modulo. That's what is Chinese remainder theorem. We are finished. We are done. But let me explain what these N and M are. Okay. So M0 is 3. M0 is 60 by 3, which is 20. Okay. So Mi is M by Mi. Okay. What is M1? 60 divided by 4. And what is M2? 60 divided by 5. What I don't know is N, because that's what I don't know, right? So we know Ci now, we know Mi, but what exactly is N? So find Ni by GCD of Mi and Mi. Okay, these are all mutually co-prime. So, and so that means, so we know these are co-prime, so I can then say that this GCD is 1. I know that GCD is 1. So try to express that as a some integer Ni times Mi plus some integer Ni times Mi. Now what are we trying to do? We are just trying to find what are these A and B. So this is A and this is B. So if you use the Euclid's algorithm, then we can find this Ni. That's what Ni is. Ni is the weight, integer weight of Mi. So let's just proceed to compute the N. Okay, GCD, so 1 is equal to GCD of 20 and 3. Okay. So M0, this is M0, this is M0. Okay. So how do we compute? So 20 is equal to 6 times 3 plus 2, 3 is equal to divide by 2, 1 times 2 plus 1, and then divide 2 by 1, 2 is equal to 2 times 1 plus 0, and then we backtrack. So we start here, backtrack. So 1 is equal to 3 minus 1 times 2, then substitute the previous remainder. So 3 minus 1, I am using the Euclid's algorithm, 20 minus 6 times 3, which is equal to 6 plus 1, 7 times 3 minus 1 plus minus 1 times 20. So this is M0, this is N0, this is M0, and this is N0. Okay. All right. So now I can do the same thing for the other two. So let's take M1 15 and M1 4. So if I take 1 is equal to GCD of 15 and 4. So first start with 15 is equal to 3 times 4 plus remainder 3 divide 4 by 3, that's 1 times 3 plus remainder 1, divide 3 by 1, so that's 3 times 1 plus 0, and start from that's the GCD. So 1 is equal to 4 minus 1 times 3. Substitute this 3 here. 4 minus 1 times 15 minus 3 times 4 is equal to 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1, 4 times 4 plus minus 1 times 15, which means that this is M1 and 1 and M1 and N1. Okay, so now we found what we were looking for, N0 and N1. Finally, if I go back to M2, which is 12, and M2, which is 5, so GCD of 12 and 5 is 1. So 12 is equal to 2 times 5 plus 2. 5 is equal to 2 times 2 plus 1. Okay, we can stop here because 2 is equal to 2 times 1 plus 0. So that's the GCD. So 1 is equal to 5 minus 2 times 2. Substitute these 2 here. These 2. So 5 minus 2 times 12 minus 2 times 5, which is equal to this minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4 plus 1. So that's 5 times 5 plus minus 2 times 12. Okay, so this is M2, N2, M2, N2. So I have computed what are N0, N1, N2. So if I come back to that formula, so I can then say that this whole thing is equal to what is N0 minus 1 and what is M0 20. So minus 20 times C0. What is N1 M1 minus 15 times C1. What is N2 M2 minus 24 times C2 mod 60. Okay, so now what are the C0, C1, C2? C0, C1, C2, 0, 3, 4. So that's 0. This is 3. So minus 45. And this is 4 minus 96, which is minus 141 mod 60. So multiply by 3 times 60 minus 141 plus 180. I want to bring that number back to the range from 1 to 59. So in order to make that positive with respect to modulo 60, I need to add 60 times 3 and 180 minus 141, lo and behold, 39. So that's equal to 39, which is what. So I didn't really need to know what number you had in mind. All I need to know are just the small remainders. So if we have picked the moduli which are relatively prime, and then you compute these remainders, and then the Chinese, this is the Chinese remainder theorem, and the Chinese remainder theorem tells you what the number is. So I can compute the number back. So there was a lot of interest in this Chinese remainder theorem based on what is known as a residue arithmetic. A residue arithmetic. Anybody has heard of, the people do get carried away, and nothing beats the binary arithmetic, but people do time to time get carried away, and some people spent a lot of years working on logarithmic arithmetic, and they argued that if you deal with logarithmic domain, then log of AB is log A plus log B, multiply is no longer complex. That's just add operation. People get carried away by many different things. But the residue arithmetic is founded upon the principles of Chinese remainder theorem. Okay, but really never became useful or practical because you can't scale you can't divide, and so lots of practical difficulties. Okay, any question about Chinese remainder theorem? Okay, what I have taught so far are basically the Chinese remainder theorem in the integer ring, but what we really need to the Winograd convolution algorithm is based on the polynomial, because we have been talking about polynomials, and so for example in the case of Koch-Tum we talked about SP is HP times XP. So I will spend a little time next class talking about I won't spend a lot of time, but you can start reading appendix C, but just a little bit about maybe I may point out to the examples, but how do we compute Euclid's algorithm for the polynomials as opposed to numbers, and what exactly is Chinese remainder theorem for polynomials as opposed to numbers. So all these formula extend in an easy way for polynomials. So and those polynomials will be used to compute the Winograd convolution. Okay, we'll talk about that. Let me just spend maybe just a little time talking about Chao's paper. So I did ask you, so let's see. Oh, I didn't plug the connector. Okay. So I just asked you to read only one section of the paper, so just section 2, because the other parts are not relevant to us. So this so-called iterated short convolution algorithm. So just read this section. It should help you in your homework. Should be of great help, and it shows how to generate those one-line equations. But what it doesn't help you very much. Okay, I mean it helps you some. Okay, not all. So you will figure out the rest on your own. So it shows how to compute 2 by 2 convolution followed by 6 by 6 convolution. No, it's showing how to compute 6 by 6 convolution using 2 by 2 and 3 by 3. Okay, that's probably not exactly what I gave you, and that's 6 plus 6 minus 1, 11-point convolution. So the two approaches. One approach here is how you compute these overlap terms. Overlap terms are being added. That means you push them up by n minus 1 rows. In our case, I pushed them up by 1 row. I guess n is here 3. And that final merging matrix A, here it's pushed up by 1 row. I think the permutation matrix stuff is probably not here. So Yali, don't go away. I will give you your graded homework back. Or okay, she has gone. Okay. So this is where you can stop. I will talk about the rest later on. So read this one section. Okay. So we'll stop today and continue next class. Okay, so all of you did well in the homework. There were a few small